We're here with Lewis Sauer, and we're going to talk a little bit today kind of about how to run indoor evaluations through measured practice, some of the benefits and some of the how-tos of measured practice, and kind of some of the benefits of what we see our players kind of gain from this. So Lewis, kind of tell us a little bit about what you see your players and the programs that you run and some of the benefits they see from some of the indoor.
Well, the nice part about the indoors is you can do some controlled environment and you can put yourself in specific situations. Like we're going to do some different shots from different distances, so we can actually see, what club should you select, how does it react when it gets on the green, and then obviously we're always working towards that proximity. So we want to know what level of proficiency are you hitting your shots at, so we can predict what score you might shoot.
Absolutely. I think that's kind of where measured practice can jump in there and help you understand at a high level, just fractionally, where we're stronger and where we're weaker. I think a lot of times some of the games we play indoors are great. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, but it's really hard to compare that to your actual on-course stats. And because of the session that we're going to do here, we'd be able to compare some mid-approach and long approach and putting, driving stats to our on-course stats, and they would directly link together. I think that's really where indoor training, there can be a little bit of a gap there, a little bit of a separation. So
it gets you prepared to think the way you need to on the golf course. What is a reasonable good shot from, a shot over a bunker or thick rock,
Sure. And I think it kind of adds accountability to your practice sessions. I think that's probably what I see with players, especially on indoor training. Can kind of get in here and get lost in the technical side, but this is adding more of a gaming and accountability to your practice session. So Lewis is going to hit a couple shots here. We've got a list of shots that kind of set an evaluation, and this is a 15-yard pitch shot, I believe, isn't it?
Yep, 15 yards.
Okay, and so that's going to give us the proximity through foresight and/or through E6, some of these other devices. So that was 6 feet 6 inches. So we would just say that's a 7 foot into lie is on the green, and Lewis would kind of repeat this process. Lewis would go through and hit kind of full shots, kind of everything that's listed on this sheet of paper, and it's really that simple. There's not a lot to it. So there's a 1 ball, a 2 ball, and a 3 ball practice. Lewis, I'm sure the 1, 2, and 3 separate a little bit with your players.
Yeah.
Speak a little bit maybe about that.
You definitely want them to try different clubs, see which one works best, and then, then they can start working on their on-course strategy. Where do I want to leave the ball? What kind of pitch shots do I want to have in case I don't hit the green?
Sure.
So it's a great way to start strategizing around the golf course where your strong points are and what shots you really want to avoid.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to do a little bit of putting, and then we're going to wrap it up. Sounds good. Okay, so we're kind of here now with the putting aspect of this, and Lewis has a great facility, so he's able to hit putts from 35 feet down to 5. So he's got a really good way to do strokes gained putting inside. Also has a green in the back that breaks, which there is an aspect kind of coming in the future where you'll be able to separate your strokes gained and lost based off of break. So kind of get into that a little later. But currently, so if Lewis has a part of his evaluation here with his students, kind of the 5 foot putt that he's going to kind of run through. Okay, so obviously, we would record in the hole for that ending lie. And so if he would move back maybe to we have like 5, 7, 9, and 11, but as coaches, I think, and Lewis will probably do the same. This is just a general template. Lewis is probably going to come up with his own set of evaluation and his own shots that it can get down to very specific things for specific players. This would be just like maybe your stock general outline so that you can compare apples to apples. You guys have a guy who can keep putting, but you guys have somebody come into your academy. This could be a good general standard eval, so you can kind of compare them to the other players in your group. So Lewis at 10 feet, let's say, is going to record, on the green at 1 foot. So he would just kind of keep going about this through his putting. He would obviously have ran through all aspects of his game: putting, short approach, mid approach, long approach, and driving. You can get some very good accurate data. Obviously, this is a very flat, straight putt. So for you to have indoor putting breaks, that would obviously be ideal. But even here, you know, you're going to be able to separate the indoor and outdoor stats. So when you're filtering this data later, you can just look at all the indoor stats. Just that separated out.
The biggest thing is, you know, make percentage and proximity that you're missing your putts by. Obviously, you want, you know, to have the ability to have tap-ins when you come in the ball, you know, for your next putt. So those are the two keys that we look for: is what's your make percentage, and then how well do you judge distance.
Sure. Yeah, you know, I think long term from an outdoor perspective and indoor, depending on your facility, you know, downhill and uphill, the whole deal is going to be able to kind of measure them out and kind of figure out where a player's really lacking in their putts, kind of strokes gained as well. So, all right, well, thanks, Lewis. I appreciate your time, and look forward to kind of seeing how you use the program. That's kind of what it's about, having coaches use this program. This is always supposed to be more of a general outlook, and then empowers coaches to kind of figure out the best way they want to use it. Cool. This would be a short example of an indoor practice session or evaluation session. It's going to look a lot like an on-course session when the data is kind of released at the end. You can see here where mid-approach losing 3.09 strokes would be kind of a focus point moving forward, or a weakness in that one practice or evaluation session. So that's kind of how that's going to look after you get all the data input. For further details on Measured Practice, please see measuredpractice.com or any of the social media outlets on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you for your time.